Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Today the temperatures are dropping tonight. I mean it's got some gales today and a lot of rain. You can probably hear it's rotten outside, but the temperatures are dropping tonight and I think I've seen them down to about 4 degrees. That's frost territory, and I've still got my dahlias all nicely cleaned off, ready to be packed away, but not packed away, so that's what I'm getting on with today. Did discuss on the last video looking for growing points. Now I am seeing a few growing points, but as the frosts are upon us now, I don't want to be spending a lot of time doing these, so I will divide these at a later date. So sort of as I get them out of hibernation next year, I will then divide them up. Now somebody mentioned one of the comments on the last video is, why don't I wait till spring, plant them in trays and take cuttings off them? Nothing wrong with that at all, and that's a great way to increase your stock, and I will do that as well when I start getting them going next year. Now the reason why I want to divide these is because these are the food for that plant for next year. If I can get a growing point on this little tuber here, just this one tuber, that's the storage for that plant, and if that grows, that's got a head start on any cuttings that I take next spring. So this will be a better plant, grow quicker, and I'll get more flowers next year. This is the reason why I want to divide. So I'll say similarly, if I then plant them all in trays, and for each tuber, if I'm getting 3 or 4 little sprouts coming up, I'll take 2 cuttings, because really you only want a couple of shoots from a dahlia, depending on what size flowers you want. And the less shoots you have with a dahlia plant, the more flowers, and the bigger the flower is. So that's my kind of philosophy and why I want to divide these if I can. If I can't, they'll just go back in the ground as they are next year. I'm not going to fuss. But I'll say my first look last week, I wasn't too happy. I didn't see many growing points, but that's because these are only a year old. There are some on here, and I will be able to divide these into next year, ready for planting in spring. So anyway, we'll get on with protecting these now and getting them stored away. Right, you can just see there directly in the centre of the screen. I'll put a little arrow on the video so you can see, but they are the growing points, just so you've actually seen them. But I'm not going to cut these up now. I'm going to divide these come spring, so we'll have a look at them again then. Now there are a few ways to store dahlia tubers. I've heard of people storing them in scrunched up newspaper, in perlite or vermiculite. At the moment I'm using compost. I am going to try with one tuber this year, maybe. A new method I've seen that they're using in America. They cut their individual tubers off, they divide them, they do all that division first, and then they store individual tubers wrapped in cling film. I'm hesitant to try it, but I think I'll have to, just because I've heard of it. But anyway, here's how I go about storing my tubers. So first of all, what I want to do is just take away some of this excess straggly roots. This is going to dry up and basically fall off anyway by next spring. Where I've cut these roots, they will callous over, so it won't cause or shouldn't cause the tuber any harm. So there's my tuber and there's my label. The label, I wrote that out, put it on a bit of wire, and I went out when this was in flower, and I photographed that label, with the flower, so I know, I can just reference back next spring as to which one it is. So trimmed up there's the stem, there's the root. I just want to take the rest of that stem off, turn it upside down and just nestle it into that compost. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to surround the whole tuber in compost. That way these don't dry out, these storage tubers. These are the tubers that actually feed the plant next year. So I don't want these to dry out because they'll desiccate, go all wrinkly, and they'll be no good to man the beast. I don't want them too wet because then they'll rot, and I don't want them to freeze because that will kill it. So all in all, this is just protecting that tuber. So again with this, I'll just go around and trim off these excess roots, just because I don't really want them sticking out the compost and wicking moisture away from the tubers, and because they're going to fall off next spring anyway. So there's my tuber and there's my 2 sprouts that were growing this year. I'll just take them off. So it was growing that way, turn it upside down and just nestle it into that compost. Got a couple more here to do and then we'll finish it off. You see, I'm being quite brutal. I'll say they will callous over. So again, just take off that stem, turn it over, get it in the compost. So not much to trim off this one, just the stem. And again, just nestle it into that compost. Now all I need to do now is straight from the bag compost. It's dry, but there is some moisture in it. So I'm not actually trying to grow these dahlias, so this compost is not wasted. It will still be as good next spring as it was when I'm taking it out of the bag now. All the nutrients will still be there, so it'll still be good for growing or for using as a compost. So I'm not losing anything there, and I will use this compost just to start these tubers off next year. Just shaking it down, you can see it settling. I'll get another bag of compost, I'll finish covering that, and there we go. And then I just need to store these trays somewhere frost free and keep an eye on them. Once a month I'll come and do this and see, well, it's still a bit damp, it's alright, or it's a bit dry, and I'll spritz it with a bit of water. Won't soak it, you don't want it soaking. There we go, that's how I store my dahlias this year. Next year probably will be different, but that's this year. Right, so it might seem expensive using bags of compost to store those tubers in. Brand new bags, I've used 4 bags there, to 4 60-litre bags to store those tubers in over winter. But come next spring, I've got the compost there ready to go to get them planted. I'll only need another bag or 2 to get them all going ready for next year, so it's a saving in that respect. The compost is not being used, it's just being used as a medium to store those tubers in. You can use old hanging basket compost, old container compost, that sort of thing. I have heard, I've not tried, vermiculite and perlite and even scrunched up newspaper. So there are other options available to you. I just like to do it that way because I think, well, there's my compost ready to get them started at a time of the year when I'm very busy and I don't want to be lugging around extra bags of compost to get them going. So there we go, that's that. That's my storage of my tubers done. I'll put them somewhere frost free and hopefully they'll make it through the winter. You will lose one or two will rot when you come to dig them out, and you'll find that 1 or 2 have you know, gone to the big dahlia heaven in the sky. But you know, you've done your best for them. So that's it. Look after yourselves, everyone. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ta-ra now.